Hi everyone, Caroline Zamora, Chief Deputy County Clerk here, and it's podcast day. I want to welcome my co-host, Cynthia Diaz, and we're talking all about elections today, which we're really excited about. And we're going to start off by talking about semi-open primaries.
Yeah.
I know, first time we're doing this.
It's exciting.
I love it. I know, I'm super excited because, let me tell you why I personally like this. Mm-hmm. There's a large group of voters in New Mexico who are declined to states. Right. We call them DTSs.
I think a lot of people know them as independent, by the way, but New Mexico recognizes them as declined to state.
Exactly. Okay. So sometimes people call it independents, but we call them technically declined to states. Right. And quite frankly, for a long time, these folks were paying their taxes, paying for an election.
Yeah.
But they weren't able to participate. Whenever we can make sure that more people participate, that's better for our communities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I'm excited that we have semi-open primaries now, except for we're all learning this.
Yeah.
Our county clerks are learning. We're figuring out the semi-open primary process. The Secretary of State's office is figuring it out too. Yeah. And so we just want everyone to know that everyone's figuring it out. So give everyone some grace.
Yeah. Be a little patient with us.
Yeah.
It's something new. And I think, once we get over those bumps, it'll go even smoother. So.
I agree. But you know what? I think our team has done a really good job. We've put out some really great content. I know Jacob will put up more information.
We've done some cool videos.
We've done some great videos, some great content preparing for making sure that voters know about semi-open primaries.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I think let's go ahead and talk about what that means for what a semi-open primary means for Democrats and Republicans.
Right. So if you're a Democrat or Republican, it's the same thing for you. Nothing changes. I have had people ask, though, like, can I switch parties during the election? And that's no. So you kind of got to stay in your lane once you are a registered Democrat or Republican and just vote in the primary as usual.
Yeah. And so if you were Democrat or Republican, you had to have made that change by May 5th. We've already passed that deadline. So like Cynthia said, you're going to have to stay in that lane that you chose. And so that is what we have for Democrats and Republicans. Let's talk about our qualified minor parties, which are the Green Party and the Libertarian Party. What can they do if they still want to vote and participate in this primary election?
So they can use same-day registration, and they can either register as a Democrat, a Republican, or decline to state and get their ballot according to that. So yeah, that's one option for our minor qualified parties, which right now is just the Libertarian and the Green Party.
Yes. So. And the last category we have is, of course, our decline to states, who we've been talking about. And what's great for them now is that they don't have to change their voter registration. They don't have to change their party. Mm-hmm. They can continue to be declined to state voters, and they can go into the voting location and say, I would like either a Democratic ballot or a Republican ballot, and they'll be able to vote. Yeah. They will have to choose one of those ballots, but they'll be able to participate in this election.
Yeah, and they won't have to change their party, which I think is the big question a lot of people have. Will I have to change my party after this? No, you just get your ballot.
Exactly, and I think that's important, that, they don't have to make those changes, and they don't have to it's not a huge burden because New Mexico makes it pretty easy to change your voter registration. Yeah. Just get online and do it. Yeah. But it is one of those things like they have to change their party affiliation in order to participate. And then they would have had to change it back also if they didn't want to stay that specific party.
And then people forget, I think. You vote and then you forget that that's
changed.
Your option. So I think this is a great way to just go into the polling location, choose your ballot, and you're good. Go on your way.
Absolutely. I agree. And so because I really enjoy doing this for folks, because I take it for granted, Cynthia, that I grew up like going to vote with my parents. Yeah. And so like I just kind of knew what it was like to walk into a voting location and vote. Like I would go with my parents and do it, right? Right. And so, but I think that sometimes, especially young people or voters who have never voted before, don't know what it's like to walk into a voting location and vote.
It can feel intimidating.
It can be. It's, doing new things. And I don't want that feeling of intimidation to stop people from voting. So I'm going to walk you through it real quick, okay? This is what happens. You get to a voting location. Let's say we're here at the government center. You're going to, follow the signs. There'll probably be someone there to greet you at the door. One of the election officials will say hello to you. And then you're going to walk up to the folks who are there at the computers. And you're going to say, I'd like to vote. And they're going to ask you for your name. And they're probably going to ask you for information that is specific to you that only you would be able to identify. Your year of birth, your address, questions like that. And so you're going to provide that. They're going to look you up and pull your profile up in the system. They're going to ask you to sign. And at that point, you're going to read the little monitor. And you're going to make sure it's you. You're going to make sure it's your name and that it's your address and your birthday is correct. And you're going to make sure that that information is you. And then you're going to sign and they're going to print out your ballot. We have a ballot on demand system. And so once you get your ballot, they're going to give you 2 pieces of paper, your ballot and a color piece of paper. Ours are green. And that is your permit. And then they're going to give you a pen. You're going to walk to one of the voting booths and you're going to cast your vote. And then when you're done, you're going to walk over to the tabulators. You're going to hand the green permit to the election official. They're going to sort it and they're going to put it into their alphabetize it. And then you're going to place your ballot into the tabulator and you're going to hear it ding. And then you get your voting sticker and you're done.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not intimidating at all.
Not at all.
Yeah. And voting, can I just say, our election officials are usually, like, they're so nice. Like, I've never encountered.
They're always willing to help. So
Exactly.
if you ever have a question, just don't feel scared to ask anybody. We're always here to help and answer your questions. So
absolutely. Feel free to ask questions. If there's something, we can't answer questions about candidates. That we cannot do, but we're happy to walk you through the process. If you have any questions, if you're like, okay, now where do I take this? Feel free to ask questions. And we're here to help.
And then we also have the kids voting
I
ballot
love
bash,
this. We've done this a few years.
It's a cool way to just bring your kids and kind of get them familiar with the process. I brought my kids last year and I think I saw a statistic not too long ago saying that like kids, it's a habit for them. So if they see their parents going to vote, they're going to want to vote too when they're older because it's not as intimidating and you kind of know how the process works. So it's so fun to get to do.
I agree. And so I think we changed the name of this last fall, because it just happened to align, the election in the fall aligns with Halloween.
Right.
And we thought Tiny Ballot Bash was very kind of like the Monster Mash. And so we changed the name, but we kept the name this year. And I really like it. The Tiny Ballot Bash. It's
so
very fun.
Yeah.
We have very just fun interactive things for them to do. We have coloring books. And those coloring books have our Secretary of State. They have Amanda's picture in there. I have my picture in there. They have like very fun, like little puzzle, like word searches, things like that. So the coloring books are very fun things. They also get to cast what do we call them? We call them ice cream ballots.
Yeah.
And they're just, I think,
like
what did we
ballots.
ask this year?
So it asks things like your favorite summer dessert, your favorite holiday, things like that.
I think it was like I think in the past we've done like your favorite day of the week, things like that. So it's very fun. And so the kids get to do their own little ballot. And then we have a little ballot box there where they get to cast their ballot.
It's decorated and everything.
It is. It's a very fun thing. And also this makes it fun for parents because if parents have, say, okay, I have the kids with me. Oh, I got to go vote. We're like, no, bring the kids. Yeah. Absolutely. Please do. And so this is just another thing that really helps family and make sure that our families are able to participate too.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. So do we want to talk about important dates now?
Yes. Let's talk about important dates.
Expanded early voting starts on May 16th.
Now, I like expanded early voting, and I think this is important for people to know. Yeah. What expanded early voting means, we expand to other locations. And so we open up to 9 other early voting locations throughout the county. And so that's, again, it just helps with convenience. And also the times are a little bit...
more flexible.
Yeah, exactly. I would say they're more flexible because they're from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the expanded early voting sites. And so that really takes into account, and that's Tuesday through Saturday, by the way. Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the expanded early voting sites. And again, that's so that we're open a little bit longer for folks who are at work.
Yeah.
And then also open on those specific Saturdays, which is also, helpful for folks who are at work during the week.
Yeah, it gives people a lot of options. So right now, up until May 16th, the government center is the only place you can vote early. So then that's only Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we should note that on May 25th, we are closed for Memorial Day. So all our polling locations will be closed for
on May
Memorial
25th.
Day. Our next important date is May 19th. So that is the last day to submit an absentee application. If you want to do an absentee application, you could submit it online at nmvote.org, or you can come to our office and fill it out that way as well.
Yeah, and let's talk about absentee for a minute here, because absentee is really important. We have a lot of absentee voters. So voters who like voting by mail, absentee is a really great tool for voters. And so I think what's really important about Doña Ana is we have the most secure drop boxes in the state.
That's pretty cool.
The most, like, out of the counties, out of the statewide. And so there are 9 secured containers throughout the county of Doña Ana. And so it's very easy. So once you get that ballot, if you don't want to put it in the mail, you can go ahead and drop it off at one of those 9 secured secured locations. Or this is another really great tool.
Yeah.
You can also bring it to any of the early voting sites or the election day sites. And so those are your options. You can put your absentee ballot back in the mail and mail it back to us. You can put it into one of the secured containers. There are 9 throughout the county. Or you can drop it off at any of the early voting locations or election day locations. But it has to be back in our office or in one of those drop boxes or one of those early voting or election day sites by 7 p.m. on election night. We have to have it back by 7 p.m. on election night. So just remember that. If as soon as you get your ballot, go ahead and fill it out and get it back to us.
It's so easy. My mother-in-law is actually on the permanent absentee list.
Oh, nice.
And she got hers right away. And she's like, yeah, I already filled it out and sent it back. It was so easy. I'm like, that's what we want. Exactly.
I love that. And again, a good reminder is we also, in the state of New Mexico, we have the permanent absentee list. And that means when you're doing the application, there's a little box you can check if you want to be on the permanent absentee list. And you will get your ballot every election in the mail like clockwork without having to reapply every election. And so you're just automatically on that list, and you will always get your absentee ballot mailed to you.
That's such a cool option for those who maybe forget that they want to, that there's a deadline to do absentee. So
to get the application and those types of things. Yep.
So you just check that box and you'll get it every year without having to ask us.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I agree. Okay, so the next important date to note is May 30th, and that is the last day of early voting. And on May 30th, the government center will be open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and all of the alternate voting sites will be open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So again, last day of early voting is May 30th, because that gives us 2 days to reset for the big election day.
We basically have that Monday to kind of reset. I mean, not us personally, because we're still working, but our election workers and all that. So to kind of reset before the big day.
Yep. The big day, which is June 2nd, and that is primary election day. 42 locations throughout Doña Ana County. We're open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Make sure as long as you are in line by 7 p.m., you will be able to cast your ballot. So make sure you're in line by 7 p.m. to vote.
42 locations.
42
That's
locations
awesome.
Throughout Doña Ana County. That's
it gives you a lot of options.
It really does.
There's almost no excuse to not vote. I think it's just one of those things where we have early voting, we have absentee, we have 42 locations for election day, which is amazing.
Yeah, and I think what's also important, I want to go in and talk about this, is because we do have a ballot on demand system, which means we never pre-print ballots. We don't print your ballot until you're standing there requesting your ballot, or you're requesting your ballot from us. And so what's important about that is that you can live in Hatch, work in Anthony, and you can vote in Anthony if you wanted to, as long as you're within the county and you're able to vote at any of our locations.
We make things very convenient. That's why we call them convenience centers, because, a lot of people might, like you said, work in Hatch or live in Hatch and have to come to Cruces for some reason, and you can vote.
And you know what? There's a voting center right here. Let me stop real quick.
Absolutely. So might as well just get it done.
You know what? New Mexico really does a great job at being so voter friendly,
accessible.
Absolutely, and really giving voters options, and I think that's really important.
So you can see all those locations at gacelections.com. There's a great interactive map on there, and I think we should note that there was a location change recently.
Yes.
So it went from Santa Teresa Middle School to Riverside Elementary School, which is very close by, actually. So it's not much of a change, but just so people are aware that that location did change. But visit all those locations at dacelections.com. Yeah,
we have a really fun interactive map. So if you want to check that out, be sure to get on our website. We have so much information, whether it's information about the semi-open primaries, if you want to read more about that, information about if you're a uniformed or civilian overseas voter, and we have information there too. Or if you just want to check out your voting history and look at your profile on nmvote.org, you can also check out your sample ballot there. And of course, you can request your absentee ballot. So again, nmvote.org. If you want to do any of those things. And then again, if you want to see all of the locations, whether it's the early voting locations, the 24-hour secured containers where you can drop your absentee ballot, or any of the 42 election day sites, go to dacelections.com.
I saw that you voted. You have
I
a
did
sticker.
vote. I voted today, and
cool.
I got our special sticker.
Yes.
Jacob will put up a picture of this.
I guess we should talk about how that was even designed. So
let's talk about it.
We
It's fun.
have a sticker contest every year here at the Government Center. So employees get to submit their sticker designs, and then they get to vote for their favorite. And so we had about 18 designs this year from different departments, from like the Sheriff's Department, Health and Human Services. Some of our Clerk's office staff submitted stickers, and
last year's winner was Clerk.
And the year before that as well.
And the year before that, and this year, where's?
So that was created by Cecilia Bermudez, and she is with the Health and Human Services Department.
I love that.
So,
Thank you, Cecilia. Shout out to Health and Human Services.
It's so cool.
It's very cute. There's, of course, the New Mexico flag, and there's a green chili. There's a little cayenne and a pecan.
I love that it's so like agriculture.
Very agriculture,
based.
very Doña Ana County. I love it. I know. And so I got one of our special stickers.
Oh, that's awesome. They are limited edition, so
they are. They're
first come, first serve.
Yes, first come, first serve. I don't know if we'll have any left for Election Day, but if you come during early voting at the Government Center, you might be able to get one.
How exciting.
Yep, I
love
know.
it.
So I think that's it for today. Be sure to check out all of our social medias. We put out a lot of great content. Things like, of course, all these important dates, things about the semi-open primary, things about locations, things about our curbside voting. So those who may have difficulty, walking or things like that. And so walking into a voting location, if that's difficult, we do have curbside voting. And so feel free to get on and look at those videos on how to access that. Very proud of our office. Yes. We've had curbside voting. It's very proud of our team for doing such a wonderful job. Yes. I'll just say that. And then what else do we have on there? We also have information about political signs.
Yeah.
We get lots of questions. Our office does not monitor or enforce political signs. And so just real quick, if you have questions about where signs can go, contact that municipality, contact the county codes office. Those are your kind of go-tos if you have any questions on that information. But our office doesn't have anything to do with political signs.
Yeah, we typically get those calls, but
we do.
Unfortunately, we can't do anything about it.
Absolutely. So. And so we'll direct them again to one of the municipalities, one of the 5 cities throughout the county, or the county codes office. We also have a lot of other we put out so much content in Spanish as well. And so we're really proud of that our office is able to do that. And so again, go to our social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram. We're on Blue Sky. We're on LinkedIn. What else are we on?
TikTok. We are everything.
Yeah. So we're everywhere. And so make sure to check all of that out. We put out a lot of great content for our voters. And again, go to dacelections.com if you have more questions about elections. I want to thank Cynthia Diaz, our communications coordinator, for joining me today. Thank you to Jacob, who's behind camera and editing for us. My name is Caroline Zamora, and I'm the Chief Deputy County Clerk. We'll see you next time.
Bye.